Hi, I'm here from Canada, representing many Nova Scotians in particular who are suffering from Lyme disease. It's a terrible epidemic in Canada as well as the US, and we're just not getting the treatment, we're not getting the support, we're having out-of-pocket expenses, spending our pension funds, people losing their lives, losing their homes. Things have got to change.
So I am here supporting the entire Lyme community. I lead a support group of about 85, 90 people, and it is sad how many lives the Lyme epidemic has touched. I also do a lot of information tables and address the public regularly. It breaks my heart that in the recent years, everybody I talk to knows somebody with Lyme, they know somebody affected, and frequently it's our children. Those are the people we're here, those are the people we're fighting for. So protect yourselves, protect your families.
Would be the correct person, and she'll be out and make sure. I want to make sure I have all the correct statements for you all. Yeah.
I worked in his office for a while, in the AG's office.
Oh, great.
I interned there.
Are you from Connecticut?
Yeah, I'm from, oh, I'm sorry. I'm a constituent, so is my daughter, who is someplace. She's out here. Outside.
Great.
So you've got constituents here.
Great. Well, welcome.
I have a message there. Yes.
Next year I'll make tags that go
We'll
around.
have little bags. Yeah.
So you'll speak with Brian on Tuesday? Just briefly, yes. Yeah, and he said that he was going to be with you on Friday? No, we didn't have an appointment scheduled. We tried to call, we did all the paperwork, we submitted it online, and nobody ever got back to us. That's the reason why I stopped in, to see, what had happened. But we did all the proper protocols, we submitted it online, and never heard back. So we just wanted an opportunity to kind of better explain.
3-4 minutes.
Nothing major, just enough to...
For him to know there's enough of us around the country, and even Canada came down.
Yes, Canada's
That
here.
as the country goes, Canada follows sometimes. 39.
First of all, Brian is our boss, so she will come up and speak to you first.
This disease. That's the big question. 40 years, no accurate testing, no treatment, no nothing, and the straight up ignorance and denial by some of our medical community. We do have some community that are fighting for us, some of the medical community who are educated or have vested interest in this, whether they have a family member who's sick or not. So we're here to tell you that the things that you guys may know about Lyme disease is most likely incorrect. We're here to tell you the truth. We're here to demand the truth. We're here to demand that an investigation take place so that we can get to the bottom of this and we can move forward and get some help for all of us. Our community is dying. Our children are being born with Lyme disease and other tick-borne infections. And it's not just Lyme disease. We're suffering from a polymicrobial immune suppressive disease with the reactivation of viruses, which is an AIDS-like outcome. And we don't recover from the standard antibiotics. So we're left with nothing. So that's what we want to do. We want to educate. We need you guys on our side. We need you guys fighting for us. But recklessly signing on to a bill just because it says Lyme disease is not going to help us. We also want the funding stopped. We want to stop funding Infectious Disease Society of America, Dr. Gary Wormser, and Rheumatology Alan Steer. We've been giving these guys money for 40 years, and they're doing nothing but using it to produce fake science to say that we're hypochondriacs. So we want to demand this. The funding is stopped. Once they do the investigation, you can refund, but give it to the right doctors. We do have scientists and doctors who are fighting for us, but they're not getting anything. They're not getting any kind of help to help us.
It goes to AIDS. It all goes to HIV.
It does go to HIV, and it also goes to like Zika. Zika, there's 5,000 cases a year of Zika. The CDC says there's about 400,000 cases of Lyme disease a year, but if you think about that, that's only 15% of the population that can test positive. The 85% of us, we don't. So if you do the math, it's more like 2 million people a year becoming affected. You have, this is a global pandemic, it's in every country. You have China, 6% of the population is infected. That's millions of people. So we need to do something, and that's what we're here to educate you guys and get you on board, that if and when an investigation is called, you will be supportive of us.
Great. Well, thank you so much for coming today and bringing this issue to my attention and to the senator's attention. I know that if she were here, she would say this is how democracy is supposed to work. You know, it's supposed to work for the people, and it's supposed to. It's because of people like you who are turning your pain into action and holding lawmakers accountable to make things right and to make things better. So we really appreciate you coming down here today. And I don't know too much about Lyme disease, but now I will, and now I do, thanks to you guys.
And I'll just say one word, that I'm a constituent of Senator Warren's. I live in Holliston, Massachusetts, and Martha's Vineyard. I have the Lyme Center of Martha's Vineyard, so any help that she can help us with in Massachusetts, we can use it. Because Massachusetts, I think, is the third highest state in the entire United States for chronic Lyme disease. And the sheer numbers of people that are sick now with this disease are completely off the charts. And the research funds that are going to this disease are this small, and it should be that big, you know what I'm saying? So we really need to have her help us if we can.
Yeah, we have a serious
in some way. I mean, but it's all over the United States now. It's every state.
And we needed insurance companies to cover it. People are going bankrupt.
Correct.
Getting treatment.
Well, we need a case definition first. We need to be included in that case definition, because if we're not, then it doesn't matter if they pass them, because insurance say, well, you don't have Lyme disease.
Right.
So that's what we need.
Right.
That's huge. And being passed on to generation after generation.
It's the same bacteria type, the spirochete,
My
as
son is
syphilis.
born, he's 2.5 years old, he's had a seizure, he's been hospitalized like many others. Her son has died from this disease. So we have to do something. We're producing a society of disabled young people. I'm 37 years old and I'm a registered nurse, and I cannot work as a safe nurse because of this disease.
I'm a psychotherapist, and what's happening is that Lyme patients are being diagnosed by psychotherapists and put on psychotropic drugs because the blood test does not work for Lyme.
So I was diagnosed in 2012, but I had gotten so sick by then. On New Year's Eve of 2011, I had the round circles, and it was getting ready for bed, and I knew exactly I had Lyme because so many people in my gym were falling of Lyme. So I went to the Washington Hospital Center Infectious Disease in January. They put me on 3 weeks of Doxy and told me I'd be fine. And I don't know if I can name names, but I saw Maria Ruiz, who told me that her husband, Dr. Ruiz, said her husband had been diagnosed with it, and 3 weeks of doxycycline would cure it. Well, by March, I was getting very bad, and it got to the point where I could not walk up the steps of my house. I couldn't even get out of my car. I was like paralyzed, and I just couldn't walk more than like 10 feet without being exhausted. So I started trailing around looking for people to help me, and I found a doctor who put me on lots and lots and lots of antibiotics for a year. And then I was able to walk better, but since 2012 I haven't been right, and they say that I probably had it for a long time before. And maybe it just reactivated, and maybe I got rebit.
From Alzheimer's was a patient at our office, and they now find that when they do biopsies on brains of Alzheimer's patients, they find Lyme disease bacteria in the brain. So that's causing that. It's also causing glioblastoma brain tumors that are rapidly killing people, just like Beau Biden and Senator McCain. And so this is what happens when it goes undiagnosed, which most people here were misdiagnosed because there's no correct, adequate blood test for it. And there's no funding. All the funding keeps going to HIV/AIDS, which we know that's got more money than I don't know what. Carter has liver pills. We need to have the funding. We need to have testing. We need to have treatment. We don't even have any treatment. We've all been on different treatments, and we're all going broke. It's costing tens of thousands of dollars per patient.
And I don't remember being bit except by a bunch of fleas. So they're saying fleas, mosquitoes, ticks, pretty much any kind of bug can be carrying Borrelia bacteria along with all the co-infections, of which there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different kinds of Babesia, Bartonella, and there is no money going towards research. All the money goes towards HIV/AIDS, but we have maybe, I think, 50,000 people a year that I think it's maybe 5,000 of HIV and over 300,000 of people getting Lyme. And that's just the ones that I guess are tested positive at the CDC. And most people aren't testing positive because the tests don't work. So people don't get a diagnosis and there's no protocol for treating you. It's just whatever, throw whatever at the wall, see what sticks. So every single person in this room has spent thousands and thousands, some of them over $100,000 out of pocket to try to get well or to get their children well. So that's where we stand, and I think it's time that that we do something different and start putting the money into the research and the testing and getting a cure.
The CDC website's wrong.
Yeah.
And NIH knows that it's wrong. And NIH are the first people that are going to complain that they don't have the funding to do the work that they need to do.
Right.
And questions aren't being asked to NIH about how are you prioritizing your funding.
So are you getting a good response on the bill? Or are they
I guess
Time will tell. Time will tell. The other big issue too is it's not just funding. The issue is there's individuals within the CDC and the IDSA that have conflict of interest.
Yeah.
And so, unfortunately, you're giving funding to these individuals with conflicts of interest. So, and I know research. I know how to read research, and there's some really pathetic CDC research out there, like this whole one-dose prophylaxis ridiculousness.
Yeah. It doesn't seem. I don't understand why this isn't a bigger issue up here.
that's what we're trying to make everybody know. It's easy to really dismiss this crowd as, oh, they don't have a Lyme.
They're walking around.
Yeah.
Look at these guys over here. They're laying around.
Yeah. So it's an uphill.
Well, I'll tell you what. I got a meeting at 2:30 around the hall. I don't know how long you guys are gonna be here, but I'll be in there for like a half an hour. But I don't know if somebody has a contact for your organization. I'd be curious to. I'm a lobbyist up here. I mean, if you all need some pro bono, because it's just an issue that I should.
Thank you.
That's an old card, but
Okay.
the right contact.
If you don't get a chance to see it, there's a lab called
Joel Rubin.
And you know what? You can shoot me a text.
Okay.
Or email. I would like for your
Peace of mind.
Yeah.
For you.
Okay.
I'm here today in Congress to make sure that the congressional representatives are proactive in finding the truth about Lyme disease, that we've been lied to about it for decades, and if they're going to request money to do anything, they're going to have to fess up, and we're going to have to develop a plan that makes sense based on what we now know about Lyme, which is there are many co-infections. There are 7 co-infections that have not yet been released for public knowledge by Health and Human Services. I give them an F for their effort, and I was on their tick-borne disease committee working group, and I give them an F for that because they would not investigate some of the material that we had that we told them we wanted background information for. The only way to get this is to get a government congressional investigation and go after the hard evidence and subpoena people to come testify, because the CDC has been lying to us, and we know that. We know that because in 1998, Dave Dennis of the CDC was on the vaccine trial for SmithKline Beecham, was a paid consultant. So he was a Lyme project officer at the CDC and a paid consultant for SmithKline Beecham to usher their vaccine through the FDA process, the vaccine approval process. And when they found that patients didn't like it, they started attacking the patient groups and set up false websites to attack patients across the country, and then promoted their views on patients to other countries. And so we also have the email going from the Lyme Project Officer for NIH to New Zealand telling them where to go find fake websites to mock patients. And enough is enough.
Okay, my name is Miranda Campirano. I'm a registered nurse from South Texas, and I have late-stage Lyme disease and multiple co-infections. I gave this to my son in utero, and we're here today at the Capitol to raise awareness, educate our politicians, and let them know that we want a congressional investigation of the mishandling of Lyme disease. We want funding stopped to people with conflicts of interest, and we want funding stopped to people who are misusing the funds and denying our disease exists. So that's why we're here today.